talk about galaxies. This is in my opinion, one of the most remarkable photographs ever taken. This is a photograph of a very small piece of the night sky, looking with a very huge telescope, looking at a small piece very deeply out into space. So the only stars we can actually see, I think, are these three here, and they are what would be called in the foreground. It's like maybe if you've got a photograph in a forest where there's a few trees right in front of you, and then there's a huge mountain in the background. The trees are in the foreground. These stars are likely stars in our own galaxy. But this photograph is pointing out away from our galaxy toward a very busy part of the universe. And most of these other shapes are not stars, but galaxies. And keep in mind that our own galaxy has 100 billion stars. So if each of these galaxies has 100 billion stars, you begin to get an idea of how large our universe is. Our universe there's an argument that our universe may have more stars than there are grains of sand on all the beaches in all the world. So there's certainly finding more and more galaxies. There's certainly billions of galaxies. Somebody has said there might be 1 trillion other galaxies. Galaxies are cities of stars. And again, I want you to look at now a lot of these galaxies are called elliptical, meaning that they're not spiral, they're just big balls of stars. Some of the stars we're seeing them edge on, the way we see our galaxy at night edge on. And then somewhere in here, there's at least a few spiral galaxies that we're seeing from the top, so we're seeing the spiral. But in any case, just to bite off more than we can chew, our universe is full of galaxies, and the galaxies have so many stars we could not count them. And so if God comes looking for Mr. Rodriguez to help him with his problem, the first thing he's going to have to do is to find the galaxy where Mr. Rodriguez lived, in which Mr. Rodriguez can be found. And that's why Mr. Rodriguez is in the Milky Way Galaxy. But he is God, and if he exists, he is supposed to be all-powerful. And I don't mean to be a doubter, but it's just not about religion today. I'm just using the concept of God to help you understand. So God is looking for Mr. Rodriguez, and he happens to know among all these galaxies that Mr. Rodriguez lives in the Milky Way Galaxy. This is very cool, but it is not a photograph of our galaxy. The creators of this called it a map. And a map is a good word because it's an artist, or it's been manufactured, this picture. You can tell that this is not a true photograph of our galaxy because we could never take a photograph of the Milky Way from this angle. We would have to travel trillions and trillions of miles in order to get this proper angle on this photograph. So this is an artist's rendering, a very good artist's rendering of our galaxy. One moment. And again, our galaxy is a spiral galaxy. The astronomers are pretty convinced that we live in one of these spiral galaxies. And in fact, they've mapped us out. Our position in the Milky Way Galaxy is they put tiny little letters in the book to indicate approximately where we are. So our sun and the Earth and all the planets around our sun. They've plotted it on this map to be roughly right about here. They call this the Orion arm of our galaxy. And so we exist within it. There's a central bulge in the middle, and we are able to study that. With the big telescopes, they've studied the middle of our galaxy and found that there's a black hole in the middle of our galaxy. And the black hole is something you can study on your own and not to worry about. It's not going to eat us. But this is a center of our galaxy, and this is the arm on which we exist. And then there's other arms of the galaxy, of the spiral galaxy. So in the summer months, the Earth is tilted in a way that the northern hemisphere is looking toward the center of the Milky Way. Well, the center of the Milky Way galaxy can be seen when you look to the south and you look at the constellation Scorpio, and you look at the constellation Sagittarius. You're looking toward the center of our galaxy. In the wintertime, the stars are very beautiful. They're beautiful, but then our Earth is tilted in such a way that the northern hemisphere is seeing this part of the Milky Way. So you might still see Milky Way in the winter, but you won't be looking toward the middle of the galaxy. You'll be looking out away from the middle. And so you would see, we're in the Orion arm. We see things like the constellation Orion. In the springtime, in the northern hemisphere of the world, we're facing kind of away from our galaxy, and it's a good time for astronomers to look at other galaxies at that time. During the spring, astronomy is a little bit boring unless you've got some serious monster telescope and you live way out in the country. It's a little bit boring because we're looking away from our galaxy in the spring. But late summer, you get beautiful views. But this is a map of the Milky Way galaxy. This is your home galaxy. If you're ever in some other part of the universe and you're trying to find your way home, remember that you live in the Milky Way. Okay, so going back to our example, God knows that Carlos Rodriguez has requested help, and he lives in the Milky Way galaxy. So God has gone to the Milky Way, and he's looking through all of the star systems. And here's where I want to explain what's a star system. A star system is really one star or two stars or three stars, any number of stars, but typically 1, 2, 3 stars that are all connected by gravity. So in our very nearby star system to ours, called Alpha Centauri, the Alpha Centauri star system is like this. It has one star. It has that they would call Alpha Centauri A, Alpha Centauri B, and then it has a tiny star that they call Alpha Centauri C, or we've given it a name Proxima Centauri because it is the closest star to our star, the sun. Proxima Centauri, it's a dwarf star, and they're saying now they think there might be a planet around it. So that's kind of interesting. So star systems are usually 1 or 2 stars, and all of whatever space junk, planets or whatever, that are held by the gravitational force of that star are part of that star system. So the star system, I didn't make this poster very well, but star systems are one or more stars, plus any planets or rocks uh, that are held by the gravity, And the example I've given here is the Alpha Centauri star system, which is the next closest one to our star system. And it's all held together by gravity, and that's where it is. So now God came to the Milky Way Galaxy, and maybe God's a woman, and that's okay because she'd have the wisdom to ask for directions. If God is a man, he might never find Mr. Rodriguez because he wouldn't ask for directions. So forgive me for my blasphemy. But here we go. So God comes to the Milky Way Galaxy. Then he wants to go to the solar system, and he finds his way to the solar